from a business perspective, feeling others in the community and that collaboration has been a big piece for me? Or are you looking for something deeper and just trying to really understand, like, why am I taking my time to go? Because all of our time is very valuable. Make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as people first. We will solve the problems. None of it is, the world's exploding. It will always get solved. Have that, strict line of career path where I went to school for X, 40 years later, I'm still doing X. You always need to expect that it's never going to go the way that you expect it to.
Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. I am your host Angel, and I am so glad that you guys are here. If you're listening, if you're driving, if you're cleaning, whatever it is, I'm absolutely just grateful in so many ways. Like, I can't even think of a word right now because this year has been the most pivotal year. We actually just have an event not that long ago. It was this last Friday. It was Hasta Luego Friend with my friend Evie over in West Side Square. If you guys weren't there, that's okay. We're going to have a lot more events. And today is going to be a very special episode because we got a special guest. And I'm so excited because me and Kara here, we talked before at the Artist Cafe, and we got to know each other a little bit there. I forgot, how did we met before that? How was that?
I was trying to remember that as well. I think it was just the universe because I don't remember who gave the original introduction, but it was an amazing thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad that we met, and today we're gonna be talking all about you and letting everybody know what you're about. But before we go into it, I want to start our conversation with an icebreaker. We're going to play our Enough Said communication card game. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out to you, Kara. And last name is Bombard, right? Bombard, did I say it right? So Kara Bombard here, she gave me the opportunity to also host the card game at one of her events for YPS, which you are the president of YPS.
I am.
And it was definitely an experience. It's really just about bringing people together, networking. And I want to talk a little bit more about YPS and your purpose in doing that after we play a quick game.
Would love to.
All right. So I'm going to take the tech out. And guys, if you haven't got your Enough Said communication card game, you can get it at the website. The link would be down below in the description, and it's really a good way to break the ice and getting to know someone in a meaningful way. And it could be anybody, significant others, someone you don't know, your friends, family, anybody. And we're gonna pick a card right now. So since we're here in person, I'm gonna shuffle real quick and I'm gonna make you pick a card. Yeah. I use this so many times with my friends and stuff.
It's a well-loved deck.
Yes, thank you. I've definitely gave it some attention. All right, so I'm going to make you pick.
I got double.
All right, that's fine. What does it say?
Describe yourself in just 3 words. Oh,
Ooh.
Lord. That's a hard one.
Ooh.
Weird, because in my house, we say weird is a compliment.
Yeah.
So I think weird is a good one. Passionate. And three's a hard thing to narrow down.
Yep. Weird, passionate.
Supportive.
Okay.
Supportive.
Enough said.
Enough said.
I love it. For me, if I were to say 3 words about myself, I definitely would say confident, vulnerable, and patient. I'll say those.
Patience is not one of my words.
I'm working on it still, but it's one of those things that I told myself, patience is not about learning to wait, but also learning how to slow down. And I think when it comes to the world that we live in now, how fast paced it is, we don't know when to slow down or when to wait for certain things because we just want it right there.
Absolutely.
That instant gratification.
Everybody wants the answer immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, because I feel like I initially met you with the YPS, and I know we were talking a little bit about you being in the food industry and how much you've been managing in that. was the food industry something you got into first, or was it more of the YPS and the networking?
So I've been with Performance Food Service specifically for a little over 10 years. So that definitely came first. I've been in a leadership role with that company for probably about 6 years at this point. YPS was something that kind of came out of the pandemic for me, in that needing to reestablish a physical connection with the community. So I joined late, it was probably November of 2021 as a board member, just to get something back to myself. You and I had spoken a little bit earlier. I had a second child in the middle of the pandemic, and that was a wild experience. But it really was something to make sure that I had something for me. And I think that's very important for everybody to, being a caregiver is a very important job in whatever capacity that is, whether that's small children, parents, relatives. To make sure that you take a little bit of time for yourself, for your own mental health and mental well-being, I think is super important. So that for me was YPS. And I think the connections that I've gained within that experience have been a tremendous help in my own personal growth and well-being. And that's why I've kind of continued to grow there. And I've been in the president role for 1 year now and have one year remaining of my term. And it's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's definitely something that I realized for myself, like trying to put myself in a community where everybody's supportive in some degree, right? I think sometimes that takes some time in order to find that person, find that group, the people that respect you, accept you, and, for the person that you're trying to become and put you in that potential, right?
Absolutely.
Is that something that was quick for you? Did that take time for you? And what did that look like?
I think it took a little bit of time to kind of see where that group was. And I think it is important that you really feel the click with whichever group you land with. There are many, many nonprofits, many, even for-profit organizations in our greater Springfield area that try to create that sense of belonging. But you have to find the right one for you. And, there's many different connections. And at YPS, we do try to do a lot of collaborations with different nonprofits and different organizations so that we can have that kind of cross-blending of different groups. That way you are able to kind of test the water, see, where you feel that connection the strongest and go in that route. So I think for me, it took a little bit of exploring. Admittedly, when I came out of college, I knew the importance of networking and the importance of having, connections locally. I did go to a YPS when I was younger, but I didn't really, completely commit myself to those connections. It was very surface value for me at that time. And I wish that I could go back and tell my 20-something self to take it a little more seriously. So I took a fairly long hiatus from, being a YPSer in, what I was looking for. But it to me, I think was the approach as I went into it. When I was younger, it felt very transactional of, I'm out of college, I need a job. And I'm going to go to these events to find a job. And that's not what it's about. It really is about, making those organic connections. Again, you and I being able to sit down, have coffee, not knowing one another, but having a wonderful conversation along the way. That's what it's about. It's that creating the connections that you make your network. And along the way, you will be able to lean on that network for wherever your life takes you, whether that's, getting into a relationship or getting out of a relationship or, finding a career path. It doesn't need to be that transactional. I have an X, I need a Y, that's where it doesn't work and where we see people not find the benefits of these types of groups. So I think that's, as I have transitioned in my life and I've grown as a leader and had a little bit more understanding of the support that I needed, that's where the YPS community now is a much better fit for me. But there's many, many opportunities in our community to find the right niche for you.
No, I love that. Yeah. You mentioned that you go to college. You went to college,
I did.
What did you graduate from?
I graduated from St. Anselm College in 2004 with a degree in math. It was math. Again,
wow, okay.
I said I was weird. Weird is one of my adjectives.
No, that's okay. Math
I was one of 5, I think, in the whole college, not even just in my year. In the whole
school. Okay. So you got a degree in math.
I did.
It was that bachelor's?
It was my bachelor's, yeah. And then I did end up going back for my master's at Bay Path as well.
Okay. And what did you get your master's in?
My MBA.
Your MBA. What's the MBA?
Master's of Business Administration.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Do you think your math degree helped you with the business? Because I know there's a lot of math.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of finance, and I think in my day job as the marketing manager at Performance Food Service, that plays in on a regular basis. You know, we're constantly doing event budgeting and P&L statements and things like that. A lot of reporting to show the growth of, you know, what our efforts are doing. You know, I'm kind of that weird left brain, right brain person because I have the creativity and am able to help lead my team in pushing them to be a little more creative in their approach so that we're creating memorable things. But you also have to have that financial backing behind it when you're working for a corporation and it's about growth. You always want to be able to justify that creative with the bottom line contributions you're making. So that math degree, even though it's kind of a weird roundabout way, it has been essential to my success, I think. I always chuckle when I hear people say like, oh, I'm never going to use algebra in my everyday life. I'm like, oh, but you use it way more than you think you did. So it really has been, you know, it was a strange path, and it's not the career path that I thought I would do going out of college. But it's been a wonderful road.
Yeah. It's crazy how when we come out of college, or even when we're going into college, we kind of don't know the outcome, and that's the scary part. So when you came out from your bachelor's, did you have a pivotal moment, or what was it that made you pivot into getting into your master's?
Well, I had done a couple of internships with some larger financial companies. Unfortunately, as I was getting ready to graduate, the world was going through a financial crisis, and there was a lot of those companies going bankrupt. So I paused, and I think to your point of patience and sometimes knowing when you got to slow down and reassess, that's basically what I did. I did take that, you know, what am I going to do when I grow up kind of path, and it took me a little while to get to where I am now. I admittedly, you know, coming right out of college, took the first job I could get, which was not my passion. It was not what I loved to do, but it was a good career, and I learned things from it. I think that's, as you're looking at a career path as a whole, always taking your learning opportunities from any situation, even if it's a bad situation, you can always learn something from it. So when I finally found myself in the marketing field, it was almost by accident. I had always done with my mother. She's been a cheerleading coach since before I was alive. She is a fabulous organizer, and again, she's very committed to the community, and I have followed that example, which makes me chuckle because we always laugh that she was involved in everything, and now here I am. But I think she was always looking for help with flyers and marketing for the events she was running. I always did that naturally, even just, you know, mixing her cheer music. I would do that every year. To be able to find a career path that led to marketing and went like, oh, light bulb moment, I can do this for a job and get paid to do it. Okay. And it, as I said, kind of blended that love of math in there because you always have to tie it back to the financial. So it was a very strange journey. But I think that's true for so many of us. Not many of us have that, you know, strict line of career path where I went to school for X, 40 years later, I'm still doing X. A lot of us take our own roles, our own paths. And I think that's a cool thing to get to know people by, of like, how'd you get to where you are? And what weird turns did you take along the way?
Right.
Because nobody's really straight line anymore.
Yeah, it's true. I've had crazy pivot, right? Coming into my degree essentially was building construction, right? And I had 2 more classes and I was done that exact semester. And after coming out of a long-term relationship, I don't know what it was, but I had to re-identify myself and re-look at things that I'm doing. I'm like, okay, is this really what I want to do? Because, you know, when you do certain things in life and it doesn't work out, you kind of rethink things. You're like, okay, well, you reassessed all the things. Even though there was one thing that changed, you look at everything. It's almost like cleaning your house. You clean your house and you'd be like, oh, I think I need to fix that. Something like that. So it was almost one of those things where I told myself I had the opportunity to double major. So with me could have been done that semester with 2 more classes. I was like, you know what? I'm a double major into psychology. So now I have a double major in building construction management and psychology. And I plan on going for my master's in Westfield for my master's in social work.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So it's crazy how a pivot can change and how things happen on accident based on own interests. Like, oh, you know, I'm doing this X, Y, and Z. And I realized this can be beneficial, not only for me, but even for people that need it out there. So that's definitely something that anybody that is listening, I hope that whenever it is that you're trying to plan something, it's fair enough to say that things don't always go the way that
they never do. Part of the big piece of my responsibility at Performance Food Service is events. And I think if we've learned anything else with events, and I think this, when people are planning their weddings or, whatever social gathering you're doing, you always need to expect that it's never going to go the way that you expect it to.
Right. So. That's so true.
Yeah.
When you was on the process of like networking and finding the people that, are best beneficial to you, right? Because I think that's the hardest part. What was something you was looking for, and what would you tell someone to look for if they're trying to start networking?
I think for me, again, it's going in with that less of a transactional approach. To me, I just wanted to feel the support of people around me. I have a great family support system. I have some very close friends. But I think from a business perspective, feeling others in the community and that collaboration has been a big piece for me. Where we can help one another, because again, we're always, all of us, we're all just trying to get along in this life, right?
Yeah.
And for many of us, especially in this area, we just want to better our community. So for me, it was that, looking to see where I could be of impact, where I could help collaborate and, bring other people's goals farther if I had the ability to do that. I think that was a big piece of our collaboration event with YPS, with the Enough Said was, I saw the product that you had and how amazing it was in creating those really cool connections. And I wanted to help get it out into the world more. So that's exactly what it was for me. I think, everybody's journey is different. And like you were saying with your own, that reassessing, I think you need to decide, am I looking to just, find somebody that can sell X or, that I can make a business connection with? Or is this more of I just want to feel a belonging kind of need? Because that's really important to have your group of people that are always there behind you. I think that's, going into networking, probably the most important part is just understanding, what you're trying to get out of it. And it's okay if there's not a strategic goal. It's okay if it's more fluid and, just wanting to meet people and get to know people in the area. I think people shy away from that because networking is almost a bad word in circles, right? Like people feel like it's just that exchanging of business cards but it's been so powerful for me. I literally whipped out a business card at a lunch yesterday to say, I have a person. And, even though it had only been a minimal interaction at a networking event, to be able to pass that person's information along for somebody that could have a bigger purpose was really important to me. So I feel like for me, that's kind of what I've taken out of networking is that collaborator role. But I think everybody needs to approach it in their own way and see, are you just trying to have some fun nights out? YPS can do that. There's lots of chambers that can do that. Or are you looking for something deeper and just trying to really understand, why am I taking my time to go? Because all of our time is very valuable. So to understand the reasoning behind why you're seeking to go out is an important thing.
Right. It's all about intention, right?
Yeah.
What is it that you're intending to get out of this? If it is to hang out, that's perfectly fine. YPS can do that. And if it's to, collaborate with businesses, that's okay too. But at least having a sense of what that is. And even if you don't know what it is, just come by. You never know. You might figure out when you're there.
Yeah.
I want everybody that is listening to know a little bit more about YPS as you are the president there. So what is YPS? What is it like? What's the culture? And why would someone want to join them?
Yeah, so YPS is an organization that's been around in the greater Springfield area for the past 15 years, 16 actually. It's been, it was created with the intention of allowing young professionals in the area to stay here, to grow here, and really make sure they feel connected. Our whole brand is about that connection and support. And again, making sure that you're using it to grow in our area. Myself right now, I could relocate and work at a larger corporation, right? But I want to invest myself in this community. And I think YPS, our intention is to create the means where you can consistently, meet new people, make those connections in our area specifically. So, we do events about 3 a month at this point, different times of the day, because we're trying to make it accessible to folks that can't necessarily do the after hours. But we do have our leadership luncheons every other month. We've been doing morning coffee hours with Popmore, Jill Munson from Popmore, which has been wonderful. Yay!
Yeah, with Jill.
Exciting, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was the day of my food show, so unfortunately I missed that one.
That's okay.
I will be at the next one for sure.
Got it. Okay.
Absolutely. So, our whole intention is to create unique and memorable experiences where you can make those connections yourself, but it's a bigger framework so that you don't feel like you have to just walk in a room and create that yourself. We've had the Enough Said Third Thursday. We've done, the dog-friendly Third Thursdays or kid-friendly events. We want people to be able to bring their whole authentic self, and that's something that's very important to me is being who you truly are in a space, both professional and personal. We're all the same person. It's not, I have work, Kara, that goes, but then after hours, I'm a different person. It's all me all the time, and, take me or leave me, I suppose, but that's important to me in terms of, what we're creating at YPS is we want you to be able to bring, whoever you are. And so we've been doing a variety of different events that kind of appeal to different groups and allow people to connect with something that they love, but not have to feel, again, that it's awkward to just like walk in a room and not have an intention or not have an activity or something. So we're really trying to bring more of those activities and resources to the area to help those connections happen. And
I absolutely love it. I have to double down on it because everything that you're saying, I actually feel, right? When I first, not only just, of course, I appreciate you even giving me the opportunity to host one of your events. It was like the most wholesome thing, introducing myself, the purpose of the game, and just all those things, and like having people like come to me and be like, oh, this is great. And then raffling it too, like having the opportunity for people to win something, right? But when I'm there, and even when I was at the last one with Jill for Popmore, which was like what last week,
Tuesday.
It was last Tuesday. It goes by so fast. This week, right now, as we are recording, it's Thursday, and Monday was a holiday. We already know when it's Monday is a holiday, it goes by so fast. It was like, oh my god. But it's definitely one of those feelings. It just feels organic, right? It doesn't feel like there's any pressure. You go into a room, there's already an activity going, and you already know what's going on. It's not like you go into a room, you don't know what's going on. It's very intimate, right? It's not like thousands of people where it can be a little bit more complex. And then maybe down the line, it could be that big and a lot more organized, because I see the vision that you have for YPS, right? It's really about just having everybody come together and just, being their authentic self, like you said. It's okay if you don't have your own business, if you're working for another business, or maybe you're trying to start one yourself. It's kind of like meeting everyone where they're at and helping each other. Because the last event with Jill, it was all about confidence. And one of the workshops that we were working on that day was kind of just talking about your strengths and then your weaknesses. So it was like superpower and then your kryptonite. And we were just talking about like, oh, my strength is my confidence or being a leader, or financial is my weakness though. And we were openly just talking about those things because a lot of times we don't get that opportunity to have that. So just having events like that, that's just one of them, right? The ones that you be having, and then advocating for other people. If it is for dogs, there's so many resources. And we don't have enough of those, especially in Springfield, right? Like, we're growing. We got MGM down there, and we got the food festival that was just not that long ago. And it's all about how we market that, how we let people know the message and stuff. So when you have these events and stuff, where can someone find these events, and how would they be able to reach you with YPS or anything else? Yeah, so we do have all of our events posted on springfieldyps.com /events. But we do also have big followings on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and we have the events consistently posted on those social media channels. So they're usually about a month to 2 months out, just so that it's always kind of the next up type thing. We have Friendsgiving coming up next month. We have a wonderful Third Thursday coming up tonight, actually, with Dress for Success and Suit Up Springfield. So again, speaking to that collaboration and bringing different groups of people together, that's important to us to, try to support one another. There's so many wonderful organizations in Springfield, and
we can all lift one another up. And that's important for us to create that space.
See, you're just saying even more things that is great, right? Just not only individually lifting you up, but even the businesses aside from that, we're lifting you up, right? And I think that's one of the things that is what's going to make the community stronger, right? And I want to know a little bit more about if I am someone that is trying to join YPS, right? I don't know nothing about YPS, right? We know that I can find on Instagram, Facebook, or I could go to springfieldyps.com/events. If I'm going to these events, is there a fee? Is there a membership fee? What does that look like?
So our memberships are super affordable, and we do that intentionally because we know a lot of the people are, either coming out of college or just starting to establish themselves in the career. And we don't want you to have to pay, a $500 membership fee. Nobody likes that. Yeah. So, it's $70 a month for a regular membership. That is, covers all of our events. So that would cover all of the third Thursdays, all of the leadership luncheons, all of those morning mingle concepts. And then anything additional we have above and beyond. We did a pickleball tournament this year, and that gave a discount to our members. We'll do comedy shows occasionally and different activities just, again, to mix it up in what we're trying to do. Anybody is welcome to our events. It's not YPS members only, so anybody can come. It is usually the $10 for non-members to come into the room. But we always have something for that $10, right? Whether that's food or drinks or something, an activity. We want to make sure that it's not just paying just to walk in a room. We want you to feel like you're getting something for that $10.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys are listening, if you want to be within the community, if you want to just network more and get to know what is going on in the community, you can definitely go to springfieldyps.com. If you want to know about the events, you could also sign up on there. I'll make sure I leave all the stuff down below. And I also want to know a little bit about you being in the food industry, right? I know you managed a lot of local industries and having a food festival not that long ago. It was just like around summer, right? Was it around the summertime?
So we do two major events a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And actually that was the event on Tuesday that we did at the Mass Mutual Center, where it was like floor to ceiling food.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody that is listening, tell us a little bit about the food festival and what is that really about?
So those are opportunities for our team to connect with local business owners, local restaurateurs. Restaurateurs are probably some of the hardest working people I've ever met. Their passion is really second to none. But it's hard for them sometimes to kind of come out of the weeds when, restaurant life is just hard and there's trouble. There's always problems, whether it's staffing or getting, whatever menu that you're doing. Our food-centric events are that opportunity for us to connect with our restaurant businesses, and we work with a lot of colleges and universities as well. But to help them, ideate, get them into that creative space where they can't always be in on their day-to-day basis. We have a team of about 12 to 15 specialists that are each involved with major categories. So we have a produce specialist, a seafood specialist, a meat specialist, et cetera. This space is where we're allowed to showcase those individuals and their talents, but it's all about helping restaurateurs find ways to save labor or save money, reduce waste, get their menus into a better place so that they are successful and they're thriving. That's been a really cool piece of this job, is to really help support those restaurateurs because their jobs are very, very difficult. Again, through the pandemic, those were the frontline workers that, we continued to feed. We were considered frontline workers. Distribution is, the way that those individuals get the food to their locations. So none of us ever stopped. We just kept plugging along, and it was very rewarding to see the creativity that came out of that time. Because everybody had to pivot and find a way to continue and to survive. But out of that came a lot of really creative ways to be even more successful for them. So it's been a really kind of crazy ride in the food service world for the last 5 years or so, as many of us have had. But it's been a really kind of joyous thing to see, especially local restaurateurs. We see many of them succeeding in the greater Springfield area, and it's been cool to kind of connect with them on both levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it, and I think with someone that does a lot for the community, sometimes things don't work out the way you plan, right? You think about something, and it's just not working out, and especially as you mentioned, it sounds like the food industry itself is very complex, right? Things can go left and right. Maybe you don't have enough resources, or maybe just the planning of events don't work out. When you have moments where things are not working out the way that they should, and things feel like it's pressuring on you, what do you do in that moment? How do you go through those challenging times?
That's a really great question. I think for me to kind of step back and, put up my healthy boundaries. I'm working on it, right? I'm a recovering workaholic, I say. Yeah. It's a grind, and, when a big challenge arises, the natural inclination, I think, is to just keep working and powering through. What I've been working on lately, again, for my own mental health, is to put out those boundaries, to make sure that I'm feeding myself healthy food, to make sure that I'm getting good sleep. And that's not always something that's easy, but it's important, to make sure that I'm preserving that time with my family, because that's the only time I get with my kids throughout the week is that after hours. That's important to me. And the problems will get solved. So for me, it's, when a crisis arises, let's take a step back, let's pause, and let's, make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as people first. We will solve the problems. None of it is, the world's exploding. It will always get solved. But you have to take care of yourself first in order to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Put on your own oxygen mask first, right?
Right. Yeah. It definitely sounds like when something is coming at you, when it's on the external side, you have to go back in the internal. Like, okay, I know this is going on. Let me take a step back. Let me look at myself real quick. How do I feel before I even try to pursue something? Because it's true. Even for me, I've had so many times for burnout that after you hit burnout, you don't even realize it first. And then you don't even feel like doing absolutely anything, right? And it's okay to be consistent, but then there's a different way that consistent looks like. It doesn't mean it's full throttle and there's no breaks, right? You can have all the gas in the world, but you need to still stop at the gas station and fill up. So is there times where you've had burnout? And with burnout, how did you realize you had that?
Yeah, actually, right now.
Okay.
Right now is a great example. It is easy to get burnt out when we're doing these large scale events, right? It's, they're very big waves of work and deadlines and pressure. And so, this is a great example of, where the week after we're kind of coming down off of that crazy event life, to be able to sit here and just decompress has been super important. It's to know that I'm feeling burnt out. I mean, to me, I think it's just, oh man, I haven't slept and had, restful sleep in 2 weeks because my brain just won't stop. I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
And it's something I think a lot of us need to work on.
Right.
But it's, I always try to encourage my team. I have a wonderful, wonderful team of 3 people. They are rock stars. And, for me, it's always just trying to check in with them and make sure that they're caring for themselves first and they're caring for their families first. We're not here to work. We're here to live before, we work to live. Right? I think that keeping those priorities in line is the best way I can combat the burnout right now is, checking the boundaries and making sure they're up in the right ways.
Yeah. It's definitely challenging, right? Of course, as a business owner, someone that is trying to put back into the community, understanding why you're doing that, because, I think it comes to a personal point where like, I wish I had this, right? I heard you mention when I wish I was a little bit younger and I got more into the YPS, and it's more of just the way of having some form of support, because when we're getting older, we don't know, right? We're still trying to figure it out. We're still trying to adjust. We need family time. We need significant other time. We need me time. And then we got work time. And then even the associates, like to be able to connect with them there. How do you manage to connect with your coworkers, and how do you have such a strong relationship that allows you to make these big events?
I think it's important to understand that the balance isn't always balanced, if that makes sense. It does not always equal, work time and home time aren't always equal. There's ebbs and flows to everything. And sometimes when we have to take that upswing because of the deadlines or because of the events, it's important for us to understand that you need to have that decompression to rebalance yourself. It's not always equivalent in time. I think for my team, that's what I make sure is, okay, we just had to work incredibly hard over the last couple of days. Our hours were a lot heavier because of the fact that we were, on site for setup. And a lot of people, when you see the event pop up, it doesn't just pop up, right? There's a lot of things behind the scenes that are going on. And my team is wholly responsible for that. So making sure that they are taking that pause for themselves after the event is really important. We communicate a lot, probably too much, but it's, I think that open communication and the ability to say like, hey, I'm not okay, or hey, I really need support on this, has been a tremendous help. And I think we've grown that sense of respect and trust in one another, that if we know we really can't do it, we will speak up and say that. And that's been a big success for my team in order to get things done. And, if you are struggling, I've got your back. And I know that if I'm struggling, you'll do the same thing for me.
I love it. I love it. See, everyone that's listening, there's so many things that Kara has done, right, for the community, YPS, the food festival. Also, she was nominated this year. It went by so fast.
It did.
But she was nominated for the Under 40 on Business West, and she had the award. So, of course, congratulations. I can congratulate you as many times. But I love it because when it comes to being very successful, there's so many things that make you successful, right? And there's a mental aspect to how you approach that. Mm-hmm. What would you say is your definition of success?
It sounds cliche, but to me, it's that support. That the fact that I've been able to foster that within my team, and, again, the transparency to say I'm not okay. None of us can be on 100% of the time, or the burnout gets really, really real. Right. It's that the support system that I've been able to create within my team and within my greater support of YPS and my greater support of my family. I think that's what's showing me that I'm onto something, and that I'm kind of following the right path. And that I would like to continue down that way. Again, I think the authenticity also factors into that. The fact that I feel like I can show up and be my whole self. That was also something in my early 20s that I think, like, I walked out of college and was like, okay, now I have to be a business person. I need to be businessy now. And it just felt very fake and not, true to me. The fact that I feel like I can be my open, weird self. I have my little pops up in my office, and that's like, what you're getting with me, that is a success. And being able to model that for my kids, I think, is just as important, so we can pass on, like, it's a good thing to be you're not somebody else. That is what I would consider to be successful these days.
That is enough said. To be able to be authentic, be supportive, right? And supportive is both ways, right? Supportive with yourself, supportive with the people that are around you, and just being honest with all that. And I think when it comes to success, there's so many ways that you can be successful. And I love the way that you say support, because I don't think I've had anybody that came on this show yet that says support, right? And there's so many ways, like consistency and all these other things. But it's very interesting to hear it as a supportive way is what makes you successful. And that is very interesting. Like, I'm really thinking about it. And it's true, though, right? Like, so when you're able to be a support to something, it's being successful in what you support. I remember I was hearing it was an interview. It was like a slight interview, and it was with John Cena. You know John Cena? And he was basically just, yep. Can't see me. He was basically just saying, getting older, you start realizing that you want to just live a purpose. And it sounds like, you've seen that aspect of being successful. This is your purpose because of how it made you feel coming out of college. I want to be a business person, but I just want to be myself in business, not be a business person and just kind of fabricate of what that would look like just because, you're trying to get somewhere. But being yourself is what allows you to get somewhere, because you reach certain people, and energy is what attracts those kind of people. As we say, your network is your net worth. And I think it's one of those things, you just want to be a use of something. And it sounds like this is your purpose, right? The purpose to be a supportive system, because that's literally what YPS is all about, right? It's all about not only helping you professionally, as we said, but personally, because you have these pickleball events, you do certain things that are like Friendsgiving, right? There's not a lot of organizations that do that, granted, for the ones that do, but the more that advocate for that is what makes us feel a lot more whole. So I love that you can do that. And I wanted to ask about, what would you say is one of the next things that you're looking forward for next year, since we're just around the corner, like we're in October now, and this week is already going by fast. I know, right? Friendsgiving.
January before we know it.
Yep, I know. Thanksgiving is around the corner. You know, when the holidays are real nearby, they come so quick. What would you say is the next steps for YPS, or when it comes to the food festivals?
So for YPS, I can share a little bit of a tidbit and something that's still in development, but we're very excited. We're going to be launching a half-day Young Professional Summit, YP Summit, for next year to bring more tactical resources to young professionals, things like leadership development and communication, and how you can better yourself. And, I say young professionals, and that's not necessarily always the people coming out of college. It certainly can be, but it could be, young in your career, or looking to re-jump your career, or, again, just bring yourself higher as a leader, leader in our organization, leader in our community, whatever that means to you. So we're super excited to see that come in form over the next couple months. Would love to see you there.
I would love to be there.
In terms of food, performance food service, we are expanding right now. If you ever drive past our building on Roosevelt Ave, you can see kind of the backside of our warehouse, and we are getting pretty much a whole second half of our warehouse built in right now. But with that will come the need for about 300 new associates in the next year or so, in order to sustain that growth and support that growth, and the growth that we'll have with our customers. So to me, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for performance to amp up what we're doing in our own community, and really, make sure we're supporting our associates in their growth and what they're doing. Looking to see how we can bring them into higher leadership levels and, appeal to other people in the community. Performance food service, I was very lucky to be on the steering committee for our very first associate resource group, the Women of PFG. And that was a tremendous opportunity that I served on for 2 years, just came off of my term. But there are now going to be 4. We just launched our 3rd. So we have the Women of PFG, the Black Inclusion Group, the UNIDOS just launched for our Latin and Hispanic associates, and we will be launching a veteran support group as well. So that whole movement within the performance food group umbrella has been a tremendous opportunity for us to continue growing as well, and again, showing more support to our associates. So I'm excited to see how that continues to grow, and how I can continue to get involved in those groups and show support to our local associates.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's giving me opportunity for more jobs, right? It's advocating for other cultures out there, right? Like we're talking about Latino, Blacks, right? And like bringing everybody together, because there's so many things to try. There's so many things to experience, especially when it comes to food, the creativeness that people get, and then also the development of how YPS is growing. So you're president for a reason, and I love it. And everybody that is listening, I hope we heard something here, right? If you want to support yourself, you have to look for support, right? And if that is going to YPS and coming to one of the events, make sure that if you wanted to check out when the next event is, you could go at springfieldyps.com/events. I'll make sure I put all that in the description, Instagram as well, so you can follow us on there. I'm an Instagrammer myself, so I understand if you are an Instagrammer or if it's Facebook, all that information will make sure I put down below. You can listen to us in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, whichever that is. Really appreciate you guys for really listening and having Kara Bombard here just talk about her experience and the perspective that she's given herself coming out of college, and just being resilient to that, to be consistent with that, because that takes a lot of work, and burnout is a thing, but it's okay if you just know how to relook at yourself and evaluate and just keep going to the next day. So yeah, is there anything you want to say, Kara, before we go?
No, I thank you for this opportunity. This has been wonderful to sit down and chat, and I'm sure this will be the first of many, many conversations along this line. But please, if anybody's interested in coming to YPS, please make a personal connection to me as well. I'd love to help your support, your journey, whatever that is, whether that's with YPS or not. I would love to help.
Yeah, and to double down on that, yeah, she's super friendly. When me and her met, it was literally like a hi, how you doing? And I literally asked would you like to get some coffee? And the rest is history. And look where we're at right now. We're together talking on the podcast, letting people know about you, how we met, and just so many things more to come. So I can't wait to see you grow, YPS grow, especially coming next year. And until next time, we'll have another conversation. Appreciate you guys. Love you. Anytime you guys see me in person, I love it when you guys say hi as well. So you can always say hi to me as well. And until next time, y'all be easy. Peace.